guys so much for watching Cooking with Community Life. On today's video, I'm here with Katie Roussos, and she is going to show us how to make her ginger crinkle cookies.
Right.
So if you'd like to see how to get this recipe, please keep watching.
I'm here to make some cookies as part of this community cooking video because I love to bake. And so today I'm going to make what's called Beatrice Ojakanga's grandmother's ginger crinkles. And I've had this recipe for probably almost 30 years. This is a recipe that all my family loves, and they've loved it forever. And it's super easy, and I just made one little tweak, which is my contribution. So the first thing is you have to have, get your ingredients ready. And I prefer Brer Rabbit molasses. No, I'm not getting a promo for this, but it just has really full flavor, unsulfured. And there's other ones out there, but this has just a stronger flavor. Also, I'm gonna need cinnamon, and if you can spring for it, the Saigon cinnamon is just really, it smells like one of those cinnamon fireballs, you know? It just brings that pungent flavor. So the thing that I do different is I use ginger pieces. Sherry was so great to get some for me today. And this is, I kind of just eyeball it. These are the ginger pieces. They're candied ginger, and I'm gonna put them on here because I cut them into little bitty pieces. And what happens is I use, I don't know, I'm gonna say about a half a cup or so. I thought it was about 6 or 8 ounces. It kind of varies depending on how thick they are. Now, the thing that I do like, sometimes if you want less sugar, Trader Joe's, which one is coming to Chesterfield, if you're over here, has un-candied ginger. So you get the candied ginger, but there's no sugar on it. So a little less sugar. But this just gives you a little bite. And I'm gonna say mincing is what I'm gonna do. So I'm just getting them in these little bitty pieces. And what I'm gonna do, which is really important so it doesn't all stick together, because remember I cut it so it's a little sticky. So I'm gonna put it in my container here. And the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the flour and all the spices in. And then I'll kind of mix it up, and we'll make sure that the ginger pieces are disseminated throughout the dry ingredients before we do the wet ingredients. I use 2 1/4 cups of flour, just all-purpose flour. You don't want to pack it down. If I had a wider area, I'd scoop it in, but no big deal. I'm just gonna, when you're baking, you don't have to be crazy. If it was like some fancy French pastry, maybe you'd weigh all the ingredients. But this is like chocolate chip cookies. It's not, you're not gonna hurt it if you have a little bit extra flour or a little bit extra. So you can see I'm not getting real freaky about how much I got in here. I need 2 teaspoons of baking soda. Now this one you don't want to get extra, so I always rub it against the top of the cardboard, and I just get it real flat. 1, 2. I'm gonna mix those all up after we get the rest of it. Now this is my ground cinnamon. My little teaspoon does not fit in here, so I just am careful shaking it, and this smells so good because this is the Saigon cinnamon, and it might get a little bit extra, but I'm okay. Oh, see, there you go. It's a teaspoon, works for me. Okay, and then also a teaspoon of powdered ginger. So this is where I differed. The candied ginger is my addition to Beatrice Ojakanga's recipe, just because they like so much ginger. So I don't want to put too much of the powder. I don't want to put a little bit extra. So I'm just gonna cut off a little bit, and I'm making a bit of a mess, but there I got my teaspoon. This is ½ teaspoon of cloves, and that's what I'm just making sure. So same thing. Oh, and it smells so good. Yes, it smells so good. Now this is the thing. Now I did wash my hands, and so what I'm gonna do is, you can see, I'm just gonna mix them all up until I see all the spices are dispersed. And so it's gonna be maybe a slightly light brown, or you can see. And then I'm just gonna kind of look, and if I see some bigger lumps, I'm gonna just see, okay, did all the little pieces, yep, see, so some of them are sticking together, and we just want little bites. So here's a big clump, and it, see, just broke into it. So I just kind of eyeball it and look and see if I see any big clumps that wanted to stick together. Okay, so I'm just gonna use my spoon in there. I love using little spoons. Now I've got my spatula, and this is from my friend Margaret. Keep calm and bake on, and I just love it. What we have is the dry ingredients, and then we're gonna get the wet ingredients. And so we use light brown sugar. If you only have dark brown sugar, it's okay, but it's gonna be a little bit crispier cookie, because I try to underbake them so they're always chewy. I put the butter already in my bowl, and I've gotten it to room temperature. What I'm taking is 3/4 of a cup of butter. And everybody knows you can measure them on the side, just cut it and you've got it. Now, if you've dealt with brown sugar before, you know, because of the moisture in it, that's why everybody packs it. We need a cup of brown sugar. And you can see the butter is already in there, and it's still in its form, but it's softened. And the reason you want it softened is because you want this to get really nice and fluffy. And if it was cold butter, it's not gonna mix as well, and you don't disperse the butter throughout the cookie and have a perfect melt. All right, we've got our 1 cup, dump it in. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cream the brown sugar and butter. And it shouldn't take that long because I've also got it at room temperature. So you'd start out, just stir, make sure you got it, and then move it up to about 50%. And I can move it up a little bit. All right. I'm gonna use my lovely spatula, and I'm gonna take some of the stuff off here, and I'm gonna beat it down, because the next thing we're gonna add is the egg. So we put them all at once. And what happens is this is gonna look like it's curdled when it's mixed up. And a 1/4 cup, it says light or dark molasses, and you can see the color here. It's a dark molasses. It's just got a little bit stronger flavor. And you see it's just gonna stick there. And I don't, you know, men cooks, unless they're chefs, usually just go, oh, we're done. I'm like, nah, we're gonna get it all out. So I did wash my hands, you know I did. So I'm just gonna get as much as I can out. So now I've got all this stuff in here, and I'm gonna just turn it on low for a minute, and you're gonna see it's gonna look kind of curdled. So I'm gonna make sure I got the bottom. Oh, I know, this
so good.
This molasses is out of this world. But the thing, you see, you want to scoop, because there's a little bit of that brown sugar butter that didn't quite get mixed in. And I've got a little bit on my paddle here, and I'm not too worried, because when I put the flour in, I'll really scrape it down. But I'm going to do a little bit more. Now it's curdled, and I'm going to mix it up just a little bit more. All right. Now, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start adding flour with all the spices and the ginger pieces. And we just wanna, you know, there's a little thing usually on these KitchenAid that says stir. That's what you wanna do. So what I'm gonna do is I just kind of time it, and I just start scooping a little bit as the paddle moves away from me. You know, the flour doesn't move up, but it's incorporating. And then sometimes it pulls it up on the side a little bit, and I just kind of do that, getting it back down, because I'm gonna work it a little bit, but I just want to get all the flour in and the spices in and the ginger in first. Now I see some in the bottom, but I'm gonna kind of whip it a little bit. See, that'll mix it up. Woo, there we go. And then I'm gonna scooch down, because I see a little bit that it's like flour in the bottom, and I want to make sure it's really incorporated well. You can see this a little bit dry at the bottom, because it always, I don't know, these things sometimes they just don't get everything. So we're gonna pop this stuff down, and then we're gonna mix it one more time. Okay, so I'm gonna mix them all again. I'm gonna start slow. Oh good, pulled up some of the bottom stuff. That's what I wanna do. And I'm gonna do this. And it looks like we are good and mixed. Oh, I wish you guys could smell this. Yeah, all you pumpkin latte freaks, this is even better. Okay, I've gotten most of it, haven't I? Mm-hmm. This dough has to chill. And this dough has to chill for at least an hour, if not more. So now I'm going to tell you, this is the kid phase, or bring in somebody else and help you. It just takes a little bit longer. And the recipe that Sherry's gonna post says 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. Sometimes I use a little bit more if it gets a little stickier, because what we're gonna do, and the thing that makes the crinkles, is you get a little scoop of, so I don't even measure, you get a little scoop of the ginger cookie chilled, and you roll it in the sugar, and when it bakes, it melts and it crinkles. So here it is, it's frozen. I can kind of, so you can see, not frozen, I should say, it's chilled, so it's firm. That's because it's gonna start melting in your hands. So I'm just gonna make a couple. Sometimes I have to do a couple, sometimes it's a little firm because it's been in, and see, it's not a circle yet. It's not a circle yet, but it will be. I'm gonna do 3, and I'm just gonna roll it in the sugar. And it doesn't look like a circle yet, but here's the fun part. Now we just do this. Now look at it, does it have enough sugar? Oh, it needs a little bit more. Roll a little bit more. And then you just put it there. So I've got my cookies. I've made them a little bit bigger than I usually do, because why not, right? So as you saw, I rolled them in the sugar, and I've spaced them apart because when they're this big, they're gonna spread a little bit, and that's okay. We just want that individual cookie. Okay. The other thing that I like to do, this recipe tells me cook them for about 10 to 12 minutes. I am gonna look at them at 9 minutes, and I might take them out because I want them chewy. I like a chewy versus a crispy one. So let's go put them in. Oop, that one rolled a little. And I'll just put them in here in my nice yucky oven. And I think I'm gonna hit it for that 10 minutes, but I'm going to check them at 9 and see if I want to take them out, if they spread and they've already started crinkling, because that's good. So I can smell them. So I'm, and when you start smelling something, you know it's ready, unless of course it's custard, then you gotta wait. So here's my little timer. I actually did 10 minutes because that's when it started smelling, even though I looked. And you can see, now they don't look like they're flat yet, and if I touched one, I'm gonna touch one, it looks gooey. That's okay. Because I'm gonna keep them on pan, and I'm gonna keep on pan. I can put the pan right here on the granite, it doesn't matter. And what they're gonna do is they're gonna sink, but they're gonna be nice and chewy. So here are the cookies. You can see the crinkles. You can even see the little pieces. I'm touching them, or the little bumps, and those are the ginger. So we're gonna crack one open, and you see how it just, chewiness. I'm sorry, I've gone to another place. Thanks for watching.